Who wants to share their lesson for the week and how they went?
I'll
I'll
start.
go ahead. Oh, good. Someone else. Oh, go ahead, Andrea.
Okay, when you are not at peace, it can only be because you do not believe you are in him. And yes, I've had a hard time staying in that central place, in him, and that every particle is divine. So it's been a challenge, but I've been aware of it at least. So,
Well, I heard this great quote, Audra, that said,
yeah,
always commit yourself to do the hard things because it builds up the resilience in every other aspect of your life. So when we discipline ourselves to do the hard thing, that's where we actually build up our fortitude.
I
And
absolutely agree with that.
Julie,
Yeah.
if you want to mute, you just put your mouse over the microphone in the lower left-hand corner and click on it, and there'll be a red line that comes through it. Okay? There you go. So I'll go next, Andrea. So
Yeah.
I picked two last time. One was when you meet anyone, remember it is a holy encounter. And then the other one, oh, is that true? I think that was mine. Yes, that was mine. Um, on a scale of 1 to 10, I probably activated that about at a 3 or a 4. Um, I kept reminding myself that people that I would meet, but since I'm always so isolated, I don't meet anyone except over Zoom. But when I do have a new client or I'm working with a client, I'll go into that space of knowing that it's a holy encounter. I've told people that today and last week as well, that that their every action is an action with other people as a holy encounter. And that's where you worship God the most. So I did okay with this one. It is so important, you guys, at least in my opinion, that we really take our statements and the practice of those statements seriously because it makes the course alive in each one of us. It really has made a difference for me. So I just support everyone in doing that, as well as myself.
Well, before I mute myself, I'll share mine. It was surrender and accept your own divinity. And yes, it can be. People are hard to actually judge this with because you've got their egos to deal with as well as your own. But I had a couple of visits with my horse this week, and then I got to really test it. And she actually wanted to be with me. I didn't need to convince her or coax her with anything. She just wanted to hang out with me this week. So that means that I am connected to my divinity because that's the only reason that they want to be with you. So get a pet and they will tell you you're on the right track. People are too hard sometimes because it's like, is this mine or is this theirs? I don't know. But animals will always tell you honestly whether
Well,
you're there or
dog spelled backwards is God. So
yeah,
they're always
yeah.
the epitome of unconditional love for us.
That was mine.
Go for it. Hey.
Hello. Um, so mine was part of the paragraphs from the week before. I just took a couple of sentences out of it. When you meet anyone, remember it is a holy encounter. As you see him, you will see yourself. And the second part to that was do not leave anyone without giving salvation to him and receiving it yourself, which kind of is the same sort of thing, just said in a different way. And I guess I'm a little bit isolated too. I don't get to see too many people. And when I do, I'm with Paul and I'm still finding my way. So, but I guess I did actually meet a couple of his friends the other day, and instantly it was hugs, straight into finding out about each other, all that sort of thing. So it was a salvation almost, I believe, a salvanic moment. Does that sound right? Anyway, I could be a politician. I make up words.
I love that word salvonic. Well, that's a Lindonism. Don't make it a real word, but it totally works.
From Lady Linda's personal dictionary.
There
That's
you go. My personal thesaurus.
Who's next?
Oh, well.
Go, Carolee.
Mine was try to get to heaven really fast, which can be really challenging when you're with people. So I sort of thought that might be more aspirational than I thought it was at first. I thought, oh yeah, I'll just do that as an exercise, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I'll try to do that as much as I can.
Reality bites, huh, Carolee?
I'll jump in real quick. What you said initially, Gary, you're so right. These little phrases do mean a lot. And I just got to say, don't just grab something just to feel part of the group. Allow it to resonate, because it's going to teach you a lot more than you realize you were meant to learn. And with that being said, I took 3 different phrases from last week and came up with know thyself, God wills no one suffer, see his glory everywhere to remember who the F you are. Wow. And it's just so I remembered. So obviously know thyself, learning myself at a deeper level, which is great. I absolutely love it. God wills no one to suffer. And I mean, that was a great lesson in learning my suffering is created by me. Ain't no one else doing it. It's all this right here. And what was it? See his glory everywhere. That's literally the reflection theory. Like, what you are reflecting outward. So what's coming back at you is a taste of your own medicine, essentially. So as we said a lot in the last week, don't be a dick. Be a good person, and that's going to come back at you. So thank you.
I love Joe's direct quotes from the Course in Miracles. Find out who the F you are and don't be a dick.
Got to paraphrase it for the younger generation that can't comprehend some of this difficult reading like I struggle with.
Well, Marianne Williamson's got nothing on you, brother. You translate the Course in Miracles just like you did, and people will just rock up for that.
They would.
I pray they do.
Tell Marianne Williamson to take a back seat.
Exactly.
No. I'm just the backseat driver. That's all. I'm yelling stuff out the window.
My one was God is in all. His peace is complete, and you must be included in it. And when I reflected on it, the peace is complete. And I still reflect on my Toastmaster speeches and how the peace shows up for everyone that is a witness to my words, my expression, and then including myself in that, because with everyone giving me feedback, making me realize that everything I speak has a calmness and a peace when I'm in my higher connection with God, that peace is also acknowledged in me. And so the reflection of acknowledging the peace is me as well, not just everyone else. So inclusive.
Thanks, Carly. Who hasn't shared? Julie, how did you go? You'll need to unmute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last week was so profoundly impacted up on me, the whole just being together with you and connecting again with, because I just got myself lost when I first came here, just lost in the past and lost in drama and lost in melodrama and conflict, you know. So mine was he will respond to pain or with joy, depending on which teacher you are following, you know. And I thought, well, you know, I was actually projecting the pain as well, and I could see that very clearly. And so, and your responsibility is no, your responsibility to love is your responsibility to yourself. Oh, I can't probably read it properly. That doesn't sound right, does it? Your responsibility. Oh, I can't read the word. I can't even read my own writing. Yeah, to him. Oh, sorry. Your responsibility to others, really, to anybody else, is your responsibility to yourself as well. So, you know, as you treat others, or even if you're resenting it and feeling left out and because I did, you know, and unacknowledged and, you know, you're doing that to yourself as well. So I saw that very clearly. So that was lovely. So I'm totally different space this week, so things are smoothing miraculously, and we're all coming down a little bit each day, and I'm just out more without holding things back and letting them build, you know, and then comes out like, you know, a bit like pus. So we don't want that. No, I'm being pusless. Yes. I'm just carrying on as I can. Pusless. Okay, so thank you for that.
Thanks, Julie.
And it was,
Did it-
hang on, give him a place in the kingdom so you can be there too. That was, I think somebody else came up with that, and I like that too. So I'm getting there too.
Good. Thanks, Julie. Sydney, we haven't seen you for a few weeks. How have you gone?
Oh, hi. Yeah, sorry I missed a few weeks. Mine from a couple of weeks ago was learning is joyful when the goal is finding God. And I've been trying to do all this new tech stuff on my website, and it's not been joyful. And I don't know that I found God. And it's just been kind of stressful, really. And I just realized that I'm kind of out of alignment and out of whack because I haven't had enough connection time, you know? So I kind of did the opposite of that, which is kind of an interesting observation. So I'm re-centering myself now. So it's been a tricky few weeks.
Yes, they're all lessons, aren't they? Shall I share the screen and we can start our reading?
I just wanted to pop in that we got 14 little brand new chickens.
Oh, how cute.
They are, they're so adorable.
Now, okay, I don't know. Where are we up to? Who wants to have a guess? We must have done at least the gift of freedom number 1. So shall we just start on number 2?
Yeah, number 2 is the one that we ended. Number 1's the one that we ended on last week.
Thank you. Great. All right, then we're on the path. Not that repeating is a bad thing either. Who wants to read number 2? Gary, you normally start us off. You'll need to unmute. Gary, you'll need to unmute.
That would help.
There we go.
So number 2, I am come as a light. That doesn't sound right. I am come as a light into a world that does deny itself everything. It does this simply by dissociating itself from everything. It is therefore an illusion of isolation, maintained by fear of the same loneliness that is its illusion. I said that I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. That is why I am the light of the world. If I am with you in the loneliness of the world, the loneliness is gone. You cannot maintain the illusion of loneliness if you are not alone. My purpose then is still to overcome the world. I do not attack it, but my light must dispel it because of what it is. Light does not attack darkness, but it does shine it away. If my light goes with you everywhere, you shine it away with me. The light becomes ours, and you cannot abide in darkness any more than darkness can abide wherever you go. The remembrance of me is remembrance of yourself and of him who sent me to you. That's really beautiful. Can I share something with the group? I had this unusual experience on Saturday night. My neighbors invited Robert and I over for a gingerbread decorating competition. So we built gingerbread houses and had an ugly sweater contest. And we were all done. We had a really fun time. And we were all done. Kurt looked at me, and we're all sitting around the table. And these are ardent, devout Christians. And Kurt looked at me and said, what is Jesus to you, Gary? What is your definition of Jesus? And I went on this download very much like this, that there is the light of God that comes into the world at different periods of time and different cultures and different languages. And it is an enlightened soul that's one with God and in the body at the same time, and gives the gift of discipleship to those around them and saves souls. And then when they leave, their disciples who are unenlightened create a religion around them. And that's how the world religions came into being. And as I continued to talk to them, they all kind of at the end looked at me and said, that's exactly what we think Christ is too. It's this infinite power that is with us always, that is walking by our side. And they all said, but the form of Jesus is what we've claimed as our master, as our Lord. And I'm like, awesome. That's awesome. But it was this long-standing unspoken differences between us that just melted away in that explanation, and all of us saw the sameness with what we all believed, regardless of what we called it. And it was really a beautiful moment. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because it is very much about how there is no difference between any of us, and this all-pervasive power of God is in every single thing at all times, and we never leave it. Especially when we're in community with one another.
Precious.
I'm going to
Just
recommend that if people want to talk, that they actually put their hand up if we're all going to be muted. So, because otherwise I can't tell who wants to talk. But Jane, I can see you've arrived and you're about to speak.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, thank you, Ivy.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Gary. That's precious, abiding Jesus love, Jesus inspired, Jesus enlightenment. And that's where we want to be every minute of every day. And we can hope and pray that when we pass over that that is indeed where we will be in that. We'll see, but for now, it's why not take and honor those times. Thank you for that inspiration.
I'm going to put my hand up, Gary. It's such an example of how we think we know what other people are saying when they have a word, and we think we know what that word means, but we're using our own definition. And unless we actually talk it through, this is especially with religion or any label that we want to put on anything or any group or whatever, we think we know where they're coming from, but until we actually ask some questions and are curious enough to listen and hear their perspective, we don't realize that they're actually talking about the same thing.
Yeah, because these folks live to walk in the footsteps of Christ. I mean, they actually are doing it. It's so bizarrely weird to me that I'm in Arkansas and I moved to one street in all of Arkansas where all these enlightened people are living, which is it's so unusual to me. I'm blown away by the synchronicity of it all and the love. Um, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Does anybody else want to speak about this paragraph?
With this part, oh, sorry, I forgot to put my hand up. With this one, for me, if I'm with you in the loneliness of the world, the loneliness is gone. And so, with what Gary shared, there was no loneliness, there was no isolation, there was no illusion, because everyone at that table was willing, open, vulnerable, and ready to share their truth and speak it into existence. And with that, you're witnessed by the same energy and vibration of God that you're speaking on. And so there was no illusion, there was no loneliness, no separation. And that was a choice.
Thanks, Carly. Julie?
I just was, thank you, Gary, by the way. I was just battling a little bit with the very last sentence. Not battling, that's not the word. Trying to fathom it. The remembrance of me is the remembrance of yourself and of him who sent me to you. So it's, sorry, it's just in detail, but I get stuck on details. And so it's him, me, the me there, and of him who sent me to you. It's almost like there's two people.
Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, is this, so the him is actually, when referring to him with a capital H, is that Jesus? And the who would be the Holy Spirit? Is that how it's kind of working there? You'll need to unmute again.
The way that I'm reading it, it's remembrance of me, or the Christ consciousness is remembrance of yourself, which is the Christ in me, and of him who is a creator who sent me to you. So that's how I'm reading it.
No, it's quite understandable that I'm a little bit confused with the hymns and yeah, okay.
I'm interpreting it as the divine God who sent his son,
Right,
Jesus.
right.
So him is really Jesus, yeah?
No, well,
No, him is God, me
Oh yeah.
is Jesus.
Oh yes. Yes,
I
right.
think. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, now I got it. Thank you.
Yes.
but I do think it's important to remember, gang, that God has sent multiple Jesuses in different cultures throughout time. That this changing of bodies is not the changing of the essence of the divine made flesh. So when we, and it's just, for me, it's an important distinction, because I do believe the honoring of all faiths is the precipice, or the practice of the Course of Miracles in action, because there is no separation between any people from any time of any faith that has followed an enlightened soul. And we can claim that as an expression of God made flesh and comes in the human form at different periods in history in different cultures throughout time. We've never not been without an image or a incarnation of God.
Beautiful.
As are we.
Yes. Do we want any more conversation on number 2, or should we go to number 3? Flicking through to see people's faces. Lady Linda.
I was just having a look at the back of the book, which clarifies terms, and they say, Joe, I think you've got the book too, which is 89 under clarification of terms. Jesus is the manifestation of the Holy Spirit, whom he called down upon the earth after he ascended into heaven, or became completely identified with the Christ, the Son of God, as he created him. The Holy Spirit being a creation of the one creator, creating with him and in his likeness or spirit, is eternal and has never changed. I don't know if that helps at all. Julie?
It kind of does, but I'm not gonna do my analysis paralysis,
Good on you.
because it all flows together really, and kind of separating each term sort of complicates it, doesn't it? Separates it, actually.
It can do, and what you can also do is, when it gets confusing, just when it says Jesus or Holy Spirit or God or whatever, just call it love.
Yeah, indeed.
And it all becomes clear. All right. Shall I read number 3 then?
Yeah, if you want
Everybody else happy?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Through, yep, right. You were in darkness until God's will was done completely by any part of the sonship. Speaking of confusing language, you were in darkness until God's will was done completely by any part of the sonship. When this was done, it was perfectly accomplished by all. How else could it be perfectly accomplished? My mission was simply to unite the will of the sonship with the will of the Father by being aware of the Father's will myself. This is the awareness I came to give you, and your problem in accepting it is the problem of this world. Dispelling it is salvation, and in this sense, I am the salvation of the world. The world must therefore despise and reject me, because the world is the belief that love is impossible. If you will accept the fact that I am with you, you are denying the world and accepting God. My will is his, and your decision to hear me is the decision to hear his voice and abide in his will. As God sent me to you, so will I send you to others, and I will go to them with you, so we can teach them peace and union. If anybody wants to speak, probably just unmute, because I'm scrolling down to try and find people, but I don't want to miss anybody if you've got something to say.
I just love that last bit. As God sent me to you, so will I send you to others. and I will go to them with you so we can teach them peace and union.
Yeah.
So it's sort of back to that your illusion you're alone, but we're never alone.
No. I actually feel a sense of responsibility with that. As God sent me to you, so will I send you to others. So for me, that is the responsibility of how am I showing up? That's kind of how I can question myself and go, am I showing up as my best self? Am I hearing and understanding the other? Am I creating oneness? Yes, Joe.
I'm just reading this one line here. It's so fitting for the world today. The world must therefore despise and reject me because the world is the belief that love is impossible.
I actually underlined that one, Joe. So that's interesting. You should read that one out.
It's getting written down for sure. I've probably wrote 4 to 5 different ones now, but that's just it's where I was once upon a time. Hating myself, hating the world, hating everything. There was no love in that version of Joe that no longer exists. So that probably is why it stood out so well.
Mm.
Joe, I so agree with that because that's something I've experienced here too. That I feel a lot of people are feeling that it's just not possible, and they're lost a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to see it, especially if you've not experienced it before. But
No,
as we get
no.
those little brief glimpses and experiences, it gives us something to grow from. I'm living proof.
Yeah, I think I am too. And it was just to see the resentment that is a result of that, of that thinking. And it just recycles, the negative side. So, yeah, lovely. Thank you.
I think as well, it's hard to. Yeah, I feel like I need to compare how I'm showing up. So I thought I was all well and good like last few months or so, but my horse didn't want to interact with me, and I was having to put the halter on, and we were having to do stuff together. And now I just feel different this last week after this last lesson. It was like I feel more connected, but I thought I was connected before. So it's a continual evolution, and you don't know how far you can go until you try, until you just you think you've already reached something, and then if you keep learning, you keep evolving and becoming. I don't know. I'm waffling now, but
No, you're not, because I think because you think you're there, then you become less open to what is actually around you, and a little bit sort of, oh yes, oh yes, I'm there,
I'm enlightened.
not quite, but and then you don't see it.
Mm.
In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. You see it when you're at your worst feeling often, and yeah, it can be very contrary for me anyway. And beware of thinking that you've made it because there's something round the corner.
That's God only gives us what we can handle. If he gave us everything at once, our bodies would not be able to handle or maintain such ascension so rapidly. So yes, I am grateful for every little lesson and every little blessing that I've gone through over the last few years in my growth pattern. So I'm ready to reach that next level whenever that divine timing is ready to push me there.
Beautiful.
For me, I found it's holding that peace and that security of knowing that you can reach that spot of peace always, even in the most terrible times. Yeah, I think that's the true power.
Yeah. Who wants to read number 4? Go, Julie. You've unmute yourself again, honey.
I was going to say,
There we go.
or 5, I don't mind.
4.
Do you think the world needs peace as much as you do? Do you not want to give it to the world as much as you want to receive it? For unless you do, you will not receive it. And if you want to have it of me, you must give it. Healing does not come from anyone else. You must accept guidance from within. The guidance must be what you want, or it will be meaningless to you. That is why healing is a collaborative venture. I can tell you what to do, but you must collaborate by believing that I know what you should do. Only then will your mind choose to follow me. Without this choice, you could not be healed because you would have decided against healing. And this rejection of my decision for you makes healing impossible. It's quite mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yes.
Because it's surrender, isn't it?
Mhm.
Maybe.
I have a hit on that. I don't think it's surrender. I think it's action in process. Because it says if you want to give it to the world as much as you want to receive it, it says, do you think the world needs peace as much as you do? And of course, the answer would be yes. And it says, do you want to give it to the world as much as you want to receive it? For unless you do, you will not receive it, which means that, if we want peace, our sole responsibility is to give peace in every relationship in which we find ourselves. So this is about true action out in the world and to be actively choosing to create peace in every conversation and every relationship. And then we receive it.
Yes, just one moment.
Mm.
Does anyone else have anything they want to add to that or subtract from that paragraph?
Yes, I
Just
did.
say-
I did actually, but somebody just popped in urgently.
No?
Go ahead, Julie.
But
Go ahead,
that's
Julie.
exactly kind of what I said first, wasn't it? That that the joy of being able to find peace in even the most terrible times is a wonderful, and that's right, it's not surrender, is it? It's seeking. So I can see what you mean by the action,
Yep.
because
Joey,
it's a decision.
Joe, you want to go, buddy?
So yeah, well, off of what you were saying, Gary, I was sitting at a friend's house, and they generally don't get too political and whatnot. But for some reason, this person just was going into so many political things, and it almost felt like he was trying to get an argument going, or not even an argument, but just, a discussion. But for me, it just felt there was no right answer. There was no peace to be had. So I spoke nothing. I said my typical, things that I say about politics. And as Julie was just speaking, it popped into my head. Gary, what was your phrase 2 weeks ago, I think? What we're not changing, we're choosing. I could have chose to got into an argument. I could have chose to bickered and maybe got all butthurt about who cares what political stuff was, being discussed. But I made the choice to remain neutral and not become a part of it and maintain my own peace in that moment.
I actually love that sentence, that we won't receive it unless we are giving it.
Yep.
Who else would like to read?
Go, Linda. Number 5.
Healing reflects our will joint. No, that's my dyslexia. I'll start again. Healing reflects our joint will. This is obvious when you consider what healing is for. Healing is the way in which the separation is overcome. Separation is overcome by union. It cannot be overcome by separating. The decision to unite must be unequivocal, or that mind itself is divided and not whole. Your mind is the means by which you determine your own condition, because mind is the mechanism of decision. It is the power by which you separate or join and experience pain or joy accordingly. My decision cannot overcome yours, but yours is as powerful as mine. If it were not so, the sons of God would be unequal. All things are possible through our joint decision, but mine alone cannot help you. Your will is as free as mine, and God himself would not go against it. I cannot will what God does not will. I can offer strength to make yours invincible, but I cannot oppose your decision without competing with it and thereby violating God's will for you.
Hmm.
Does anybody else feel like just jumping up and applauding after each one of these paragraphs? I just, every single one of them. And I keep going back and reading The Gift of Freedom. We're reading in The Gift of Freedom. And it just, yeah.
Could we read it again? Because it's just so rich.
Number 5.
Yeah. Linda, would you read that again?
Certainly. Healing reflects our joint will. This is obvious when you consider what healing is for. Healing is the way in which the separation is overcome. Separation is overcome by union. It cannot be overcome by separating. The decision to unite must be unequivocal, or the mind itself is divided and not whole. Your mind is the means by which you determine your own condition, because mind is the mechanism of decision. It is the power by which you separate or join and experience pain or joy accordingly. My decision cannot overcome yours, because yours is as powerful as mine. If it were not so, the sons of God would be unequal. All things are possible through our joint decision, but mine alone cannot help you. Your will is as free as mine, and God himself will not go against it. I cannot will what God does not will. I can offer my strength to make yours invincible, but I cannot oppose your decision without competing with it and thereby violating God's will for you.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about this paragraph, or do we want to move to 6?
Can I just clarify something? So does
Sure.
that mean where it says all things are possible through our joint decision, but mine alone cannot help you? So any decision that we make is not incorrect. It's our decision, and so therefore it will be acknowledged, and it's still a joint decision.
This is how I'm reading it, Linda, and I may not be right, but how I'm reading it is that it's the decision for a joint unification. It's the decision for union rather than separation. So if this power of the Holy Spirit or Christ is deciding that union and we're deciding to live in separation, it cannot overcome our decision to live in separation. It cannot over influence us. But when we decide to live in union, as is Christ's decision or that power's decision that represents union, then it is our joint will. I don't think it has to do with the minutia of how we make decisions in our day-to-day life. It is more about are we making the choice to be in union with looking through the eyes of the Holy Spirit at our world.
Thanks, that makes sense.
Joe?
So reading the line, I cannot will what God does not will. The word will, would that be assumed to believe it could be allow? Like I cannot allow what God does not allow? Or is there another way of reading that to comprehend what the term will in that sentence means?
I don't know, Joe. That's a complicated question. I can't seem to wrap my head around.
I
To
don't
me, it
think
does.
it's allowed.
I
For
don't
me,
know the difference between
No.
will and do.
when I'm reading this, the vision for me, or the kind of what came up for me was that God's just saying yes. So if you decide to do this, yes. But if it's not in God's will, then you can take the hard road. That's up to you.
Your free
It's
will.
your decision. But it's not, it's separated yourself, but it's still your decision. That's for me, will and decision are the same, but allowing is not the same, because for
Right.
me, allowing means like he's going to allow for you to do whatever you want to do because he just says yes.
Mhm.
I think it's a difference between active and passive action. Whereas will is really an act of action, isn't it? Action. Whereas allow is just sort of a passive. I don't know. That's just a thought.
I heard this great description once of God, which I really loved, which was, and it's exactly what you said, V, that God is simply, it just says yes. And if we look at all of creation, it's actually this diversification of the spark of the divine in quadrillions of different life forms, in quadrillions of different experiences. And what this power is doing is experiencing the creation through the separated aspects of every living thing that it animates. And it only says yes to whatever that entity is wanting or desiring until it only desires union with the divine. So the road towards that unification is oftentimes each one of us individually experiencing the pain of separation, the pain of our fear, until we taste all of the poisons of the world and we only turn to one light. So if pain or separation builds the muscle to finally turn to the light, is the pain and separation bad? It's actually not. It's part of the journey of the soul back to unification. So that's why I think God just says yes to whatever it is our heart's desires, whether it's the dark side or whether it's the light side, because if it is the dark side, we have to travel that road until we absolutely turn to the light. At least that was the story, and I'm sticking to it.
I like that. I was going to say before that beautiful riff you just shared that in Sanskrit there is the sound that's referred to as Icha Shakti, which is the will. So it's a force, it's a creative force. So I think that just expresses what you're saying, Gary. It's the essence of creation going forth.
Can you type that in chat, City?
Sure.
Icha?
I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we can all see each other, because that's about all we're going to have time for. And I'm actually going to write it down this time to remember that we've finished at 0.5 here.
It feels like we just started. Does anyone else
I
feel like
know.
that?
I know.
Every time, Gary, every time.
Awesome. Awesome.
Ah, Icha Shakti. Thank you, City.
Yeah, thank you, City. Always bring in the Sanskrit work. It's so true. That's the word for it. It's just so true.
The will is a creative force. Wow. So, what's our lesson going to be to take us through the silly season and into 2025?
I've got mine. I'll go ahead and read it.
Good.
And I love, love, love this. And Callie was the one who I think spoke of it as well. Or maybe it was someone else, I don't know. But as God sent me to you, so will I send you to others. I will go to them with you so we can teach them peace and union. That's what I'm taking into 2025. I want to step more into that role. I want to be able to demonstrate the love in my heart for people and the peace that comes to me in a much more, not in a sooky kind of way, but in a much more demonstrative kind of way that's grounded and consistent.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I'm looking forward to being that.
Adria, do you have one?
Yes, healing does not come from anyone else. You must accept guidance from within.
Mm-hmm.
I want to continue the healing that I've begun so that I may truly shine my light without hiding.
I feel very compelled to say something to you, Andrea.
Please.
Because there's a touch of sadness in your voice tonight, just a
Mhm.
touch.
Mm.
And my invitation is walking into 2025 in celebration of the grace that's actually on you all the time.
Oh,
We oftentimes can't see it
beautiful.
because sometimes it doesn't show up economically, it doesn't show up in our relationships. But part of what's manifesting outside of ourselves is a reflection of the emotional states that we're walking around in. And our external world is just reflecting back to us our own internal world. So when you begin to start looking at, and I really support you in doing this, making out a gratitude list, and truly a gratitude list, like grateful for the air you're breathing, grateful for the nature you're seeing, grateful for the people that planted the food and picked the vegetables and all of that. Just grateful. And go to sleep always at night, saying to yourself, worthy and
Worthy,
abundant.
abundant.
Always keep those rolling around in your head. And things begin to shift on the external. I know this one really, really well because I can be a miserable son of a bitch. And I can be. I can suffer better than anyone on this call. I'm good at it. But I have turned my head around as best as I can, and I'll still fall back into that.
I
I
could
just
give
want
you a
to,
run for your money.
I just want to support you, Andrea, and really looking
you.
at that as a quest for 2025, really embracing this one thing. If it's outside of me showing up, I'm the one producing the energetics
Oh,
that reflect back to me.
I
And it's a
accept
hard
that
thing
and I
to
know
do.
it. I accept it. I know that.
It's a hard thing to do. I just feel like you're such a sister of mine, and I don't even know why, because we hardly know each other. But I do feel like that, and I really want to support you
Thank you.
in turning the ship around.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Do the arrow exercises. I swear to God, it completely will help. Whoever I've introduced that to in the graduate program, do the arrow exercises because it makes a massive difference. It definitely is with me. Okay.
It was
It'll
hard when I
uplift
started.
you.
It was hard.
It's hard
But
to do, but
it's getting
it
easier.
goes really
Keep going.
fast though. Yeah. But
Yeah.
do them. Do them like your life depended on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Lady Linda.
And mine is a very simple one and something that if it had been like, several months ago, 2 years ago, I think when we started doing this, healing reflects our joint will.
Yeah. Gold. It's hard
That
to
one.
pick one. I've kind of made one from what Gary was saying. I get to choose how I animate the spark of the divine. So I'll be choosing lots. Be choosing as often as I remember to do it.
Cool, giving yourself options, love.
Yeah. Just to jump in a whole outfit of black leather with a whip, okay? That will just
Oh no.
But I guess that will be God's expression as well, V. Just go for it.
Unbound.
The hell of a way to end the last call of the year, Gary.
So I'm just matching Joe's inappropriateness.
I had similar to actually part of these, and healing reflects our joint will is also part of mine. God says yes. Thank you, V. And I love that just in its own nature. Accept God's will, desire union with divine, healing reflects our joint will.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Beautiful. Who else has got their lesson?
I'll share. I wrote down so many great things, and mind is the mechanism of decision was one, and thought, yes, if I can actually change that process, that will be really helpful. My shit thoughts that arise at times, but the one that Gary and Carly referred to as well, as God sent me to you, so I will send you to others, and that statement really resonates. And there was another one about you must accept guidance from within. So there's a few things to be aware of.
Yeah.
That's what
Julie, you'll need to unmute.
Well, yeah, I as God sent you to me, so will I send you to others, and I will go with you so we can teach them peace and union. I love the bit that he will go or she go with me. Yeah. And if your light goes with you everywhere, you shine it away with me. I loved that as well. There's so many. And it's interesting that we all sort of almost all chose that as God sent me to you.
Joe, have you shared yours yet?
I have not. I'm looking at my list of wonderful things I've written down, and the pattern I'm seeing is going along with one of my comments of I just want to stand and applaud after every paragraph. And I feel that's because so much of this I have been doing in my recent years. I'm not trying to brag or pat myself on the back, but just having that realization of what I have turned from and come to over the last at least 6 years of my life. And it's absolutely amazing. And it just fills my heart with joy right now just to be looking over this list and being like, that's not hard enough. I'm already doing that. That's not hard enough. I'm already doing that. And so I think I'm going to go with what City said and dive into the power of divine will, the Icha Shakti. We'll see how this goes. I got a few weeks to figure.
Nice. Coralie, have you shared yours?
No, I haven't. No, I like the question. Do you think the world needs peace as much as you do?
Mm.
Mm.
Jane?
What a inspirational time this is with all of us together. To me, you know, I will go to them with you so we can teach peace and union. If that isn't the most outstanding invitation, it just it knocks me over. It's like, really? You're gonna go with me? Of course you are. And here we are tonight, and we're with each other. We're going with each other, even as we part. We're still with each other, and I am very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Yes, it's a good season for peace. So it was a great way to end the year for us all. Thank you very much for joining us for the whole year, pretty much all of you. And I think we'll have to go. See
Merry
you in
Christmas,
2025.
everyone.
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Hey,
Merry
Sarah,
Christmas.
thank you. Great
Coming
things.
back.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.